Welcome to Our College, Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. Today, we're going to learn about Fresh Start, an innovative program designed to help students who have past due balances with Ivy Tech return to college. We're going to visit with 4 Ivy Tech team members who work with the Fresh Start program every day to learn more. Let's meet our guests. And the first is Angie Yoder. Hi, Angie. How are you today?
Hi, Kara. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do here at Ivy Tech?
Yes, I am the Student Success Coach, and I work in our Student Success Center. I have been with the college since 2010 and with the Student Success Center since 2012.
Excellent. Thanks, Angie. It's great to meet you. And next up is Sheila Reich. Hi, Sheila.
Hello there. I am the director of the Bursar's office. So I work with students that have previous balances, that need their billing account explained to them, help them work out payment plans so that they can continue to be registered.
Excellent. It's good to see you. And Val Eakins. Hi, Val.
Hi, Kara. It's so great to be here. I am the Executive Director of Administration at the Fort Wayne campus. And what that means is that I provide oversight for our Bursar's office, our finance office, actually our facilities office as well. So it's just all things kind of financial that happen on our campus.
Excellent. Great to see you, Val. Thanks for joining. And last but not least is Jenny Leonard. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Kara. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. My name is Ginny Leonard, and I have been at Ivy Tech since 2012, and I have served in a few different roles. I started in academic advising in the Indianapolis campus. I moved to the Kokomo campus, where I was the director of advising for a period of time, and I have returned to Indianapolis last fall, and now I am the director of student success and retention here.
Excellent. Great to have you here, Jenny. And we'll give you full producer credits at the end, but you also helped to produce this episode. So thank you very much for that. And we're really excited to talk about Fresh Start today. So let's dive into the first question. And Val, I'm going to start this question with you because I know you've been with Fresh Start since it was birthed from an idea. So would you tell us about how Fresh Start originated?
Our campus was participating in a pilot group of campuses for strategic enrollment initiatives. And we had actually been approached by one of our economic development partners from the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership. His name is Ryan Twist, and he's the vice president of talent initiatives. And he had heard about a program while he was at a conference from the Lumina Foundation. This program actually was presented by Wayne State University, and it talked about debt forgiveness. And Ryan was wondering if Fort Wayne couldn't do something like that, and then also on a broader scope to engage the other higher ed partners in our area to participate in kind of a debt forgiveness program to get students that have some college credit back to school to help get them completed and out there and in our workforce.
Excellent.
So took this idea and kind of ran with it. We talked with Wayne State University. They gave us some great information, invited President Ellspermann to actually sit in on a conversation that we had with the Wayne State representatives. And she was so excited about the program that by the end of that phone call, she decided that we needed to take this statewide. And so Fort Wayne kind of led the charge and included a whole lot more people from throughout the state to develop what that program looks like for Ivy Tech. So it was a very quick rollout. We started in August, had to have everything rolled out by October to impact spring semester of 2020.
Excellent. Thanks, Val. It really is a great example of how our campuses bring forward some really great opportunities sometime that we can then share and make possible across the state. So really appreciate Fort Wayne's leadership in bringing this forward for the entire state. It's been really great. Let's talk a little bit about what Fresh Start is from the focus of a student. So how does a student qualify for Fresh Start?
The way a student qualifies is they have to be in a position where their debt is at least 2 years old. So for our first round of students that were participating in spring of 2020 and again in summer of 2020, that meant that their debt had to be incurred between summer of 2008 and summer of 2017 in order to qualify for the program. Then beyond that, they had to have a grade point average when they left the college of a minimum of 1.8. And that was kind of tied to program that the state of Indiana has for some funding for students, so that it's called the You Can Go Back scholarship program. So we wanted to keep those parameters the same for both the college and for that state aid. Then basically we had some different parameters for different dollar levels of what that debt looked like. And I can go into that, or if you want somebody else to talk about that, I'd be happy to do it too.
I mean, I can talk about that a little bit. We waived all students that had $50 or less. We totally waived their balance. And then the max that we apply for the Fresh Start would be $1,500 over 3 terms. However, if students have balances larger than that, we work with them and try to set up a payment plan for that excess amount so that they can still enroll in the program.
Excellent. And once the student does enroll in the program, what are the requirements to remain eligible for Fresh Start?
So for students, once they are in the Fresh Start program, they've come back to the college, we help them to plan out their classes and register for courses that are required for their degree or certificate program. And they need to be in at least 6 credit hours per semester for 3 out of the 4 next semesters. And really that has given students the opportunity who maybe didn't want to take classes in the summer to say, I'm just not going to take classes this summer, but I'll still be here in the fall. I'll be here next spring, and I'm committed to graduating. So at least 6 credit hours, and also they need to maintain a GPA of a 2.5 or higher, which is a higher GPA than what our academic standing expects of students, but also, wanting students to aim higher than what the minimum is, especially with a program like this that is forgiving quite a bit of debt, hoping to see students that really come back and are ready to shine.
There was also some information that we looked at as far as we want these students to get to a completion that's, of some kind. We want them to have a completion, and that's one of the big goals of the program. And what some of the data that we looked at found was students that had that 2.5 or higher GPA were more likely to be successful and to actually complete a degree or certificate with the college.
And for students who don't qualify, because students do have to be selected for this program, you can't just sort of ask about it. For students who don't qualify for Fresh Start, but they wish to return to Ivy Tech, what options exist for them?
Well, from a bursar perspective, they cannot have a balance. So, they would have to work with us to set up a payment plan. If they're not at collections, they're at collections, they have to finish all of their, payments there. But we do work with them, and they can make installments until they get the balance paid off. And then, we can remove the holds.
I think different campuses have different opportunities available to students. So the Indy Achieves program, which was last week's podcast episode, one of the great things about Indy Achieves is that they will pay a past balance for a student, but there are some very specific parameters for that, in the sense that for Indy Achieves, you have to be a Marion County resident to be able to benefit from Indy Achieves, on top of a few other criteria for the Indy Achieves program. So different campuses might have different options available for students that have a balance. And then, of course, the first thing that the student really needs to do is talk to the business office and see, if I can pay X amount towards my balance, what is the time frame, if this is what I can afford to pay before I can actually start my classes again. And then once that balance is paid, a lot of our campuses have scholarship dollars available to help a student who might not be able to pay tuition, and maybe they don't have financial aid available to them any longer. Again, that 1.8 GPA requirement for Fresh Start, that's below the GPA requirement for financial aid. And so we anticipated that we would have students that would come back for Fresh Start that wouldn't have financial aid as an option to them academically. And we have scholarships available for students in those situations. But again, that might vary from one campus to another.
You're correct, Jenny. And there are also certain situations where employers will pay for a student's education. So, one of the parameters of the program is they have to have a means to pay those current semester fees that where they're re-enrolling. So we talked about financial aid, we talked about scholarships, and that employer option is a huge benefit that a lot of employers do. And some students are in a totally different situation, perhaps, than what they were when they incurred the debt, and maybe they're able to pay at this point in time. So, there's lots of different options for students, and, our staff try and help make suggestions as to how those balances might be satisfied.
Excellent. When the student does decide to come back, we want to support them because we do ultimately want them to be successful. And Angie, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what your role is on the Indianapolis campus. It's a little bit different than what some campuses might do, but if you chat about that with us for a little bit and how you support our students, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. In the Student Success Center, we do offer a lot of support for our students. And so when students are returning to the college, it's great for them to have support and take each step to help them get back on track, because college, the Ivy Tech, our system may look different than they last attended. So it's awesome for them to have a success coach here to guide them through the process. And so what we look at within the Student Success Center are 8 focus areas. So when coaching students, we know life happens, which also might be the reason why they stopped out. So we look at 8 areas in health and support, commitment to graduation, academics, career planning, finances, managing commitments, their effectiveness, and how what school and community looks like to them. So these are awesome conversations that I've had with these students throughout the spring semester. And they are conversations where time management, what does it look like now to go to school? I have a family now, I'm juggling work. So let's talk about your time management and where that stands to help you better balance the schedule. And so a lot of times, what is the health and support piece? That's a big piece, I think, with helping students focus here at Ivy Tech, because if you're mentally not ready or physically not ready to come back to Ivy Tech, let's talk about that. Let's see what kind of support we can get you to, talk things through a little bit more. So I really have had a lot of great conversations with students and helping them get through the barriers to continue here at Ivy Tech.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Angie. And again, we were talking, the 5 of us before this episode started, that model looks a little bit different on every campus, but nearly every student who's in Fresh Start is likely eligible for coaching and support from their campus. So if you don't have a student success center on your campus like the Indianapolis campus does, please reach out to someone to talk, probably your academic advisor, to talk about how you could be paired up with a coach, because that resource is likely available to you. How many students have we been able to help through Fresh Start so far?
I ran my report. Well, for Indianapolis, we had 43 students that participated. We actually had 3 graduates that actually graduated after spring term.
Fantastic.
Yay. Yeah. And we had 21 that were totally successful without any COVID-related issues. And so we did make some exceptions for some of the COVID issues so that those students can continue on into the next semester.
Excellent.
License program.
That's wonderful. There were actually 115 students statewide that signed the agreement to participate in that. Beyond that, there were over 4,000 students who had the $50 and under balance, the balance under $50, that their debt was automatically forgiven. So they can come back at any time and participate in this program. So we are continuing to reach out to them just in case their circumstances have changed, to say, hey, you can come back and start completing your degree. So, it was, we would have hoped for higher numbers initially, but it was the first time that we did this. We're continuing into summer and we're continuing into next fall. Next fall, we will have an additional group of students that will be in the mix. We'll continue to communicate with those previously that we've talked to, plus the additional students that are eligible for the program. I will share just a story very similar, and this was the one particular student in Fort Wayne, and she was actually our first Fresh Start person that came into the campus to sign her agreement. So I had an opportunity to go over to the bursar's office and meet her. And I kind of just walked with her through the whole process to see if this was working the way we envisioned. Got her registered. And while we were waiting for her to have an appointment with an advisor that day, I just chatted with her for a while. And she was single mom. She owed, just under $400, but that was enough to keep her from being able to come back. She'd actually completed a technical certificate already with the college and had been working towards her associate degree when she had to stop out. So she got re-enrolled. I've kind of kept tabs on her through the semester, and she needed 3 classes. She completed all 3 classes, had a great GPA, and she graduated in May. So, that's the reason that we want this program to work. And those are the kinds of success stories that we want to see for all of our students.
That's outstanding. I love that story. It makes me happy. As we think about what the future looks like, what does the future look like for Fresh Start?
So I think Val mentioned that we are continuing Fresh Start for the summer, which of course summer starts this week. And we're also continuing it for the fall. So that was really music to our ears, especially with everything that has happened this year with COVID-19 and watching the unemployment rates in our state and in our country really just skyrocket. Angie and I would talk quite frequently about how, our students need this more than ever. The students that previously had a job that may have paid their balance, they don't have a job anymore to pay their balance. And now they need to go back to school and to skill up before they get another job. And so we were really excited to hear that we could continue to offer this for students that wanted to come back and return this summer or return in the fall. And the Fresh Start survey that's gone out, again, the students are already identified, but they're receiving emails about Fresh Start if they've been identified for it. And we've had about 1,200, a little more than 1,200 students that have completed that survey and sent it back in. And that's for the whole state. That's not just for the Indianapolis service area, but, knowing that we've had that many survey responses compared to the number of students that actually came back in the spring, I really think that we're going to see this program grow a lot in the summer and in the fall, which is exciting.
I hope we see it grow as well. I think it's a great program and a great example of how we're taking responsibility too, that, we may not have just served the student well at that time, and it's time for them to come back, and we're here to have their back as they do that. So I think it's a wonderful program. Well, thank you to all of you for being on the show today. Every episode ends with a call to action. If you know of someone who might benefit from Fresh Start, please share some more information with them, including the FAQ for Fresh Start. And I will link to that in the show notes because it's a little bit long to try to read here on the podcast. So you can check our show notes for that. Thanks again for joining this episode of Our College, Your Voices. And I want to thank my guests today, Angie Yoder, Sheila Reich, Val Eakins, and Ginny Leonard. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at K&M Tweets. Our guest producer for this episode, as I mentioned at the top of the show, was Ginny Leonard. Ginny, thank you so much for suggesting this episode and our episode from last week on Indy Achieves. As our name says, Ivy Tech is our college, and this podcast is a place for your voices. Our content is so much better when it's suggested and created by our college community. There are lots of ways you can get in touch, and I'm going to go over all of those. If you have an idea for an episode, you can reach out by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivytech.edu. You can leave us a voicemail at 317-572-5049. If you're an Ivy Tech faculty or staff member, you can join our Microsoft Teams listener community. I distribute information on how to do that every Thursday afternoon in our Thursday emails. Our website is ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance for this and every episode provided by Becky Campbell, Sarah Ferguson, and the Ivy Tech Community College marketing team. And our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music and post-production services provided by Jen Eads at the Brassy Broadcasting Company. And we will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.